Hey, it's your girl Barbie J. Welcome to my channel. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Barbie J here with the recap and review of Tyler Perry's other comedy drama, Zatima, Season 4, Episode 14, Operation ZAC Attack. That's right, and the synopsis for this episode reads, ZAC devises a plan to exterminate Leslie, and Angela and Sean discuss their future. So now before we get started, y'all know the drill. If you're new here or returning and have not subscribed to this channel as of yet, please take a moment right now, hit that subscribe button, then hit the notification bell and select all. It'll let you know every time I upload any new content to this channel. Then I ask that you hit that like button, which is the thumbs up button, write a comment and join the conversation, and then share the video because sharing is caring and you want to help this sister's channel grow. So now that we got all of that out the way, this episode begins with ZAC and Fatima picking up that brick that was thrown through their window and then having to deal with Deja and her nosy self. Cause she looking right through that window and she seeing ZAC they naked like, damn, I know he was built like a horse and all. I'm sorry, y'all. I have a cold, so excuse my laughter and the sound that my voice is making. But Deja had me cracking up. And I don't understand why they had ZAC standing there with the pillow in front of him the whole time. Why did he have to be naked in that scene? Somebody put it down in the comment section because it was an unnecessary display of booty, you know? And then not even that, they had him drop the pillow at one point and still keep talking to Fatima after Deja left. But she was funny. Especially when she walked away and said, "You gonna poke a hole in that baby's head with that thing." She's so funny. So Fatima was getting annoyed with Deja. So she picked up the brick and said she would throw it at her if she didn't go away. So that's when Fatima noticed the note on the brick. And then she gave it to ZAC because she said, "I don't even want to read it." And ZAC told her to call the police. So ZAC read the note and he was pissed. He was cussing everything, told Fatima to look at it. Fatima was like, oh my God. And she dropped the note and started rubbing her stomach because Leslie wrote, "You and your baby have to die," something like that, because you took everything from me. So ZAC comes back downstairs. He ready to do some action. Fatima has to stop him from going out there and doing something stupid and getting himself arrested. So the police finally came. When the police came, they said, "Yeah, she's definitely threatening your life. Do you happen to have any video surveillance?" And I said, that's what I was saying to myself. You know this crazy girl is out there. Why y'all don't have surveillance cameras around the house? And stop putting that spare key under the rock or wherever you were putting it. I mean, wouldn't that be the first thing anybody thought about? To me, it would have been, instead of getting a gun and going looking for it, protect your house. So ZAC wasn't trying to hear the police. He don't think they gonna do anything. They're a waste of time. And basically, from what they were saying, they ain't gonna do anything because they're like, we don't know who did it. I'm sorry. She had a note wrapped on a brick and threw it in the window. We know who it is. How you gonna say we don't know who did it? And so Fatima said, what about the license plate information from Deja? They said she only gave us one letter and one number. I said, Deja crazy. She didn't even have a doggone number. He said, at least she tried. Fatima's like, did she really? Like, come on. So ZAC escorted them to the door and they mentioned something about, monitoring the neighborhood every so often. ZAC's like, thanks, great. So now Fatima wants to know what he's going to do. And he said, first, I got to keep you somewhere safe. You can't stay here. You need to pack a bag. She's like, well, where am I going to go? She said, I guess I could go to my parents. No, not your parents, because I don't want them to know nothing about this. Okay, so then we could get a hotel. He said, we is you. I'm going to stay here and play surveillance. So then she said she'll go to Angela's house. And ZAC said that was a good idea. So she called Angela, but Angela didn't answer. So she left her message saying that she's going to be coming over there and staying with her for a few days. But an hour before that call Fatima made, Angela was in the house with Sean, and she was sharing with him that how she has to work on herself first or something like that, and how that she didn't want to get into a relationship because she has love phobia or something like that. And he had a name for it and everything because he said he was going through the same thing. She was saying how she had been hurt by people before. He said he'd been hurt also. But she didn't think it was a big deal. He said, yeah, because people don't think it's a big deal when men get hurt. But when women get hurt, it's a whole big deal. So as they was talking, come to find out, Sean had been through a lot of things that Angela went through, and he was feeling the same kind of way. You know what I mean? So he understood, and he said that he's going to give her space and stuff, and that he was going to leave. And she said, "Thank you." But one thing she did say to him is that she loved herself a lot. She really loved herself, and he said, "You should." But after he left, she went in that drawer and saw that weight loss shot thing, and she was gonna throw it out. It looked like, but then she kept it and she poked it into her skin so she could do that. So obviously, she's not as happy with herself as she's saying she is, because she is actually concerned about her weight. But some people with all that weight be looking good with their clothes. Angela dressed her behind off. But then there's other times when that weight is so much that it's a health concern and you need to lose that weight. And I'm not sure if that's what's on Angela's mind, but deep down, I don't think Angela's in love with herself as she professes to be. So now we see a quick scene where Mr. Tyrone came to pick up Tony from the courthouse, get him out of jail, and he paid the $3,000. So he paid his tickets and everything. And he said, "You gonna owe me my money?" He said, "No, Nathan's gonna owe you that money." He said, "What do he got to do with it?" He said, "Because he's the one who took my car and got all them parking tickets." And he said, "I ain't gonna never get my money." He said, "No, I'm gonna make sure you get your money." So then Mr. Tyrone wanted to know, why is it that all of a sudden Tony don't have money when he saw him counting out all that money before? And Tony finally confessed and told him what he had been doing, dropping that money at the lady's door and running and all of that stuff. And he said, "Dude, you crazy," and stuff. So he told him, "If you feeling that conflicted, maybe you need to go talk to her and tell her what you did." He said, "Because you talking about you took her son, but what you did is took her son before her son took you. And that's the truth and nothing but the truth." And then Mr. Tyrone told him, "And if you do decide to go and talk to this woman, you keep my name out of your mouth. I don't want to have nothing to do with it." He said, "I hear you." And then he said, "I need a ride to ZAC because ZAC needs my help with something." I was like, at what point did Tony have a chance to talk to ZAC and know that ZAC needed him to help him? He was in jail, right? So next we see ZAC and Fatima outside in front of their house. ZAC is putting all her luggage into his car. And she's like, "Why do I have to drive your car?" He said, "Because I want her to think that you're home alone if your car is just sitting there in the driveway." Then all of a sudden, Nathan pops up talking about he got weapons and stuff like that. And ZAC is like, "Look, let's get Fatima out of here." Fatima took off. And when she took off, here's Deja coming out there. "What y'all doing? Y'all look like y'all doing something." She out on her terrace yelling down to them, making a scene. To me, you talking like that, all the neighbors gonna know what's going on. And then Deja's offering to help. She's talking about she know how to trap a man. But ZAC was like, "No, we don't need your help." He was like, "Stop it," telling Nathan to just go do what he have to do. And meanwhile, Nathan's like, "Call me." They up there flirting with each other just about, him and Deja. I said, "You need to stop, Nathan, and focus." So they go inside the house and they're looking at all the weapons. And then Tony shows up and he starts going after Nathan like he wanted to mess him up for getting all them tickets in his name and stuff. But he said he'll deal with Nathan later because, they're there for ZAC right now and trying to help him with his situation. And so they see how stressful this is for ZAC and everything. And he's like, "Well, what's the plan, ZAC? What are we supposed to do?" And ZAC is like, basically, they all going to be in that house 24/7 until they catch this girl. And he's like, "I got a business to run." And they're like, "Whatever." And then Bryce came with surveillance cameras and they all pulled out guns when he came through the door. And Bryce did one of his karate screams like, "Ah," something like that. But anyway, he started talking about wanting to show them his nunchucks. I was like, what does that have to do with this? He should have brought the nunchucks with him. So then Nathan's touching everything. ZAC told him to stop touching stuff. And he accidentally shot off a gun. And everybody jumped and stuff. And the next thing you know, Deja's at the window complaining, talking about he put a hole in her dildo. You know how much these things cost? And she's holding it up with a hole in it. I was cracking up. I said, Deja needs help. But then I'm looking at them. I said, "Y'all got all this stuff out there, but the window is wide open. You need to board up that window, ZAC. That should be the first thing they talking about so people ain't looking in and hearing everything that they planning." And so then the episode ends with Fatima showing up at Angela's house and she's knocking on the door. She calls her. She hears the phone ringing and she said, "I hope you ain't in there doing no freaky deaky stuff." She said, "Because I'm coming in." So she comes in there with the key and finds Angela passed out on the floor. So we know it has something to do with probably that shot that she took or something like that. Or maybe she hadn't been eating, trying to lose weight. I don't know. But we shall see in next week's episode. So y'all let me know what y'all think about this episode, and I will see you all in the next video. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. It's your girl Barbie J saying peace.